Hello, my disciples of the watch. Are you ready to dive into the pit with us and submit yourself to the trial by fire of ranking all the studio albums of Bay Area thrash metal legends Testament? I hope you are, and I'm sure you are. Um, of course, as with all these thrash metal shows, I have my fellow thrasherist from the United States of America with me. Alex, hello, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me back. Should be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. And I know you came prepared, and I expect all the details and sales stuff and producer credits and whatnot for all these records we are going to talk about.
All right, the
Okay.
pressure is on me. Okay.
Yeah, right. Okay, so before we start, if you like our thrash metal shows, don't forget to leave a like, a subscription to our channel, and of course, prepare to memorize all the questions and comments you want to leave for us. That will be very much appreciated. Uh, Enough of me babbling on. We want to rank a lot of albums. We have 13 studio albums by this great band. And yeah, to start, just a little short biography of the band. So Testament were founded in 1983 in Berkeley, California, in the Bay Area. Recorded a couple of demos, and just before they were supposed to record their debut album, Exodus snatched away their lead singer, Cedro Souza, and he was so nice to suggest a replacement for him, and that was, of course, Chuck Billy. Um, Testament recorded a very acclaimed debut album in '87 and recorded more albums after that, each one with more success than the one before. They had a little bit of problems in the '90s, just like all the metal bands, lots of lineup changes. So, lead guitarist Alex Skolnick and drummer Louis Clemente left the band. There were a couple of position changes. Then in the early 2000s, um, Chuck Billy had to receive cancer treatment, so that was a very troublesome time for the band. But he survived it, and Testament bounced back in 2008 with a great album. We will talk about that one, and they are still with us. And just last year, recorded and released their 13th studio album. So, 13 studio albums. We left out the re-recording First Strike Still Deadly that they recorded in the early 2000s. Um, right on. Um, yeah, so let's just start. And Alex, give me your lowest four.
All right. So first, let me say that I got into Testament from the start, right? As I said many times, 86 was my year for thrash. So I get into that in a big way. So by the time Testament puts the first album out, I'm buying everything that comes out. And I've always liked them. I followed them um, sort of up to the gathering. And then after that, it's been hit or miss. But I will say to me, uh, Alex could be the best thrash guitarist of all time. Uh, Chuck Billy, probably the most interesting vocalist of all the bands, and we'll get into that as we go. And the one thing I do like about Testament is the average length of an album is 45 minutes. So they never went over an hour. I barely went over 50 minutes. They didn't overstay their welcome like some bands that stretch it out. They never really did any epics. So interesting in that regard. And in doing this ranking, as we always do, I know I at least read and watched some other rankings, and this might have been the biggest shuffle from list to list that I've ever seen. I mean, the worst at the bottom and then another person has the top. So I kind of took all that with a grain of salt and just went into this um, fresh. And for the most part, I had all their material. There were some holes here and there. So there were some things that I really did listen to for the first time that passed me by initially. Now I'm rambling, right? So let's get to the list. At 13, I have Demonic. So this is their seventh album from 1997 uh, on Burnt Offerings, which was their label. and short, 11 songs, 40 minutes. Does have a Dave McKean, if you're a comic book fan, a Sandman fan, Dave McKean artwork that really reflects this album, which is sort of an exorcism theme that runs through it. Almost looks like a Slipknot mask on the cover of that. Uh, Produced by Eric and Billy. And when I say that, sometimes they got some outside help, but when I mention those two, it's primarily them. And I think that's interesting to mention that and also the songwriting credits as we go along because it really does go all over the place. And to me, I find it interesting though that their sound stays fairly consistent even with all the change. And as you mentioned, some of the members, I think this is a band that had 20 plus members, so lots of turnover. Why is this at my bottom? I mean, this is full on dark. It's when they embrace the death metal side of Testament. And as if people know watching this other shows with you, I'm not the biggest death metal fan and not that Cookie Monster growl. I can take it in spots, and Chuck does a great job of mixing it up on other releases, but on this, it's just a little too at the forefront. So starts off with demonic ritual, so death right out of the gate. Together as one. That's a little bit of the old school Chuck. I like that. John Doe finally gets a little bit of reprieve from this kind of in your face vocal and that's the fifth track. The sixth track is Murky Waters, almost has a new metal feel to me, even though this is sort of in the new metal era, right? And but with some death growls. Just overall, it doesn't do a lot for me. It's not when I'm going to do a repeat listening. It gets a little monotonous. Um, so number 12 is Low. This is their sixth album. This is from 1994. It is their last on Atlantic. 12 songs, 47 minutes. This one gets to Billboard 122 in the States, but the sales are starting to decline. This is produced by Garth Richardson, who has worked with Rage Against the Machine, L7, the Melvins, Mudvayne, and you're going to hear some of that in this album. Wikipedia actually lists this as groove metal first and then thrash metal. There's some groove in it. I don't think it's full on, but also here's some new metal. Although that now would not come for another year or so with the first Corn, but it's just in that '90s, as you mentioned, thrash sound where most bands are kind of floundering to figure out what was going on and what they were going to do. On this one, James Murphy replaces Alex. I think that makes a difference because again, I'm an Alex guy. I love his progression as a guitarist. And on this one, the label kind of went to them and said, "We want something alternative, right?" And so they take that as, okay, you want an alternative to what we are doing, and they do some of this death metal, and that wasn't what the label was thinking of. They were thinking alternative, right? So first track, Low, that is groove metal all the way. Could be a Pantera track to me. There's a song Hail Mary that I like. Cool track, memorable chorus. Trail of Tears. This is where Chuck Billy is great as a balladeer. And I know that may sound weird, but he can pull off a very cool, slower song or one that's slow and then builds uh, as good as anybody, as far as I'm concerned. Dog Face Dogs, that's where some black metal creeps in a little bit. So kind of a mixed bag. Again, music industry is changing. It's okay to me, but I'm putting it lower on the list. Uh, Next up at 11 is Brotherhood of the Snake. So this is now the 12th album. Comes out in 2016. Nuclear Blast, 10 songs, 45 minutes. This gets to a number 20 on the Billboard charts. But remember, the modern day Billboard charts are not like it was early, where sales really, got you up the chart. This you don't have to sell much to hit 20, but still they're charting, and there are other bands that can't say that. So great cover by Ali Ron, if I'm saying that, Cantor is his last name, who's done other work for them and for Halloween and really become one of my favorite cover artists. Another one produced by Eric and Chuck. On this one, all the lyrics are by Billy, but one. He takes inspiration from the ancient astronaut hypothesis, and the title is from an ancient secret society. So it's one thing I want to say about Testament is their lyrics really run the gamut from the cult to social issues. So they're sort of a Megadeth in that way that they can kind of fluctuate in their themes, but keep it all very interesting. The music itself, eight are all Eric, and then two are Eric and Alex together. The title track is great. Fierce start. There are some growls, not too much, so I can take that. The Pale King, nice vocal switch up. So here we got some melody, we got some spoken word. Again, Chuck is kind of using his voice, his throat as an instrument. Stronghold, the third track, uh, catchy testament, I should say, and that's something that they, again, we'll go over as we do these rankings and talk about the albums and songs. You don't think catchy and thrash, but with Anthrax, to me, there is that element. Centuries of Suffering. Now we're back to the Fast and Furious Testament. Can of Business has almost a hardcore punk feel. So again, good album. I can listen to it, but it's not going to be heavy rotation. And then number 10 is going to be The Gathering. So this is album 8 from 1999, also Burn Offerings and Spitfire. 11 songs, 42 minutes. This is another Dave McKean cover, my least favorite of the three that he did. I have no chart information in the States for you, Oliver, but the one chart I did find is in Germany, where it gets to number 48. So, produced by Eric and Chuck again. This is the first now of 5 albums that Andy Sneap is involved in engineering and mixing. This is the one and only with the great Dave Lombardo from Slayer. This is a mix of death and thrash again, moving away from that groove metal that they had before. Chuck says that when Eric and Dave got together, kind of the ideas just started to flow. It definitely helped their kind of return to that earlier heaviness that they had, but not the death heaviness, just the thrash heaviness. Great balance by Chuck on vocals. True Believer is a track that really stands out to me. It has some creepy, almost Alice Cooper kind of parts to it. 3 Days in the Darkness, heavy track, growls, chanting, interesting mix up of things. Legions of the Dead, a little too much death for my liking, but again, this is not another one that's going to be in constant rotation. This was the last Chuck LP up until 2002 because of his cancer issues and so forth. So that is going to be my bottom 4.
Nice. Thank you. And yeah, we're gonna see some switcheroo as well between the two of us, right there.
We should
So
expect nothing less.
yeah. So but we start off the same because I have Demonic on last place as well. Um, just to get into my story with Testament, when I started listening to metal, that Metal Hammer issue, there was the New Order was the new album out by them, and they were hailed as these new heroes of thrash metal, a new hope, new Metallica, basically. Chuck Billy sometimes sounds a bit like James Hetfield. Um, and yeah, and when I really got into buying metal albums a year later, Practice What You Preach was one of the first metal LPs I bought. And yeah, so I followed Testament, but not religiously. I left out a couple of records here and there. And Demonic was the last one I bought before I dropped out of metal. I think back in the day, I didn't think it was so bad. It didn't get. I think this is a common last place probably. Um, I don't think it's that much of a death metal album. Many people say that, and of course Chuck Billy does these deep growls that are a bit death metally. Started to do that on Souls of Black a couple of years before. But here he goes, yeah, does this voice most of the time. But I really think that this album is more new metal or groove metal album, and it's my problem with this kind of music. It's very monotonous and boring, mostly mid tempo. Yeah, there are couple of songs here and there that are okay. I guess John Doe is probably my favorite on this album, but yeah, it's just rather bland and boring to me. So this is my clear last place. And to get this out of the way, there are two albums I don't like by Testament, and the rest I like more or less. But so this was pretty tough to rank them, and just to the last minute I switched them around and wasn't sure where to place them. So my number 12 album, and this I guess this might be a shock to you, is Souls of Black from 1990.
I
Um,
get it.
and this was an album I mentioned. I bought the album before Practice What You Preach, so this, and I like that one. So this would have been on my shopping list when it came out, but the magazine I read gave this a rather average review, so I skipped it. And I think they sometimes I missed good records because of those reviews, but I think they were right with this one. Um, I read that they kind of yeah, they had the chance to go on this Clash of the Titans tour, so they rushed this one out because they had to have an album out, and they used kind of leftovers from the two records before, and I think you can hear it. Um, it's a step back after the one before, so it's pretty much thrash all the way through. Not that much variety between the songs, and I think the songs are a bit, yeah, they are throwaways. It takes a while uh, before this album gets going. I think the first song I like on there is number 5, Absence of Light, and it doesn't do too much for me. I don't think the songs are there, so this is my number 12. Number 11, I have an album that is pretty controversial, but I think it gets a bad rap. And I would love to place it higher, but I just can't, but I like it. It's The Ritual from 1992. It's their Black Album Syndrome recording, I would say. It's they try to be a bit more melodic. It's more power metal or even classic heavy metal, you could say. It's not thrash at all. Um, but I think it has a couple of good songs. Electric Ground, So Many Lies are great. The title track is great. Deadline is a great song. So this is a nice album, and I don't think it's a sellout album at all because it's very classic. It's still heavy, and you won't find any pop songs on this one. It's just not thrash anymore. That's it. But yeah, still a good one. Number 11, The Ritual, and on number 10, I have Low from 1994, and I really like this one. Um, I think that with all the troubles in the 90s, Testament managed to get through this time with their dignity intact mostly, and you can hear kind of the alternative influences because this is a rather dark sounding album. Um, the kind of joy and fun that is a part of thrash for me is kind of missing. So this is all very dark and brooding, but it's still heavy. Still good songs. Chuck Billy's voice is still there. Low is a great song. You already mentioned it. Legions in Hiding is good. Hail Mary is probably the best song in my opinion. Um, Dog-Faced Gods, All I Could Bleed. And I really, really love the closing track, the instrumental Last Call, which just sounds as if they want to kick you out of the bar at 3 o'clock in the morning. Very moody, great guitar playing. To me, this is a good album, and it's my number 10.
All right. Yeah. And again, I'll say the same as you. My bottom two are probably, I don't need to really hear them. But after that, everything is some degree of good. And we'll get to Souls of Black. I don't it doesn't shock me at all. But my number nine is going to be The Ritual. Uh, and this was a fifth album for them, 1992 on Atlantic, straight Atlantic versus Megaforce/Atlantic. 11 songs, 54 minutes. Cover by Don Brautigan, which is a cool cover. Billboard chart is 55, which was the highest position they got back in that old period of ranking things, and it did get close to gold. That's one thing with this band is they're not a gold or platinum band. They had good sales all along, just not big sales, right? And as you mentioned, sort of a 2 year gap, longest period between uh, albums. Uh, the last for Alex until 2005. And yes, I agree that. So this is more heavy metal. There's some more slower melodic stuff with some elements of thrash. Del James comes in as co-writer of 8 of 11 songs. That's someone that Chuck works with closely on lyrics. He worked with Guns N' Roses as well. So, um, Signs of Chaos, 30-second instrumental, is his as Alex's sole credit on this. Goes into Electric Crown. I love that song. So Many Lies. I like almost a Judas Priest kind of feel to that. The Ritual, moody, slower song, good. And then, 6 to 9, okay. Return of Serenity is track 10. To me, their best ballad. That's where Chuck has kind of got a heaviness, but with feeling. So, good album. Number 8, I'm going with Souls of Black. And if anybody has watched us before and they'll note, as I'm pointing there, is my Souls of Black Testament mobile that sometimes I have hanging there. Great album cover, William Benson. I captivated by that back in the day, and I'm a cover art guy. So this is their fourth album, uh, 1990 Megaforce, 10 tracks, 39 minutes, gets to 73 on the Billboard chart. Uh, this is the first without Alex Perales on production. It's Michael Ronson and the band. I like Alex's production. I think it's a little bit missing here. This is them taking some progressive elements, some technical elements, and as you mentioned, reworking some things that were demoed. So in my mind, I didn't listen to this for a while. I liked it much better then than I do now. Now that I have all this other material after it, so it's it could have fluctuated. My middle group of albums, it can flip flop, and this did. This was lower, and then it went higher, and finally, as we all do, we just have to say that's enough, or we're going to drive ourselves insane. I like "Face the Sky," Metallica inspired riff. If you listen to that close enough, "Souls" to me is the absolute best song. Great riff, memorable track. "One Man's Fate," good song. "The Legacy," again, another ballad with Chuck shining. So, good album. And maybe this is a little controversial, but no, my number 7 is The New Order. So that is their second album, 1988, Megaforce Records, 10 tracks, 39 minutes. Another great William Benson cover. This is the first album to hit the Billboard charts for them. The debut did not, only got to 136. And this is produced by Alex Perialis. So this is only 13 months after their debut. His first couple of albums were a year apart. I think that might have been a little quick. I know the label was demanding more material. It's why it's only 40 minutes. I only got there because they added a couple instrumentals and an Aerosmith cover. So again, this is sort of had to give it another 6 months and rent some more material. I think it would be higher on my list. Music is all by Alex and Eric. Billy does most of the lyrics. Many songs of this are still played live. It's a classic in the eyes of all Testament fans. It's just a little bit lower for me. Um, first couple tracks start okay. Trial by Fire is a catchy thrash song. I love that. Into the Pit, obviously a great track. Disciples, killer track, one of my favorites. The Children of the Corn, ode to Stephen King book. My big problem is Nobody's Fault. Aerosmith cover. I don't need it. I don't need a couple instrumental. So some fluff was added into this. So while it may be a higher on some people's rankings, and we'll see where it is on yours, to me it falls short on what could have been.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. So my number 9 is The Gathering from 1999. And this one and Low were two albums where I just couldn't decide which one I should place above the other because they are kind of they are kind of sibling albums to me. On both of them, James Murphy is playing guitar, so you have a similar sound. This is more thrashy. It's a little bit more fast. It was kind of deemed as a return to form back in the 90s. Um, and Yeah, I don't know it that long. It's a rather new album for me, so maybe I gave it the notch because it's a bit more fresh to me than Low. Um, and I really like the opener, Do Not Resuscitate, which they still play live. I think that's one of their coolest thrash songs, especially from the second era of Testament, so to speak. Um, to me it's just very consistent throughout. There maybe not that many high points as on other albums, even some of their last one, but this is enjoyable and certainly much better than Demonic, which came just before that one. So yeah, probably an important step in their discography, and yeah, enjoyable late period thrash album for me. On number 8, I have Titans of Creation from 2020. And this is an album that hasn't really clicked with me yet. So I had troubles to place it. I even thought to place it below Gathering and Low and even The Ritual. But in the end, I decided to place it above because I think it's an interesting album and it's a very versatile album. More, it's a little bit more progressive than the other songs they did in that time period. The songs are longer. There are more melodic parts. It's not thrash all the way through. Um, and maybe it might grow on me. There are some great songs. I love the opener, Children of the Next Level. World War III is pretty good. Night of the Witch is a super heavy, pretty dark and spooky song. I love that one as well. Um, City of Angels, they mix heavy parts with very mellow and melodic parts, and I don't think it really gels. At least it hasn't for me yet. Um, False Prophet is pretty cool. Um, Ishtar's Gate is also a cool song. So I think this might grow, and maybe it has the most potential for me to grow. So I gave it that little edge and a little bonus. So I ranked it on number 8. And on number 7, I have Brotherhood of the Snake, um, which is the third of their comeback era, you could say, and they deliver all the thrash metal you wanted back in the 90s, which none of the bands wanted to serve you back then. So this is fast and pummeling throughout. I think it lacks a little bit in songwriting, and it's very front loaded. So I don't like the second half of it that much. But the start is great. Brotherhood of the Snake, you mentioned it, The Pale King. I love Stronghold, which has also a bit of a punky vibe with these gang shouts. Um, Seven Seals is good. Born in a Rut. After that, I think that it dips a little bit, but it's still a fun album. So, Brother of the Snake is number 7 for me.
All right. Uh, so my number 6 is the last that I don't have a copy of, and that is Dark Roots of Earth. So this is their 11th album from 2012. There you go, Nuclear Blast. This is 9 tracks, 50 minutes. There's actually 2 7-minute songs, which, as I mentioned earlier, unusual for them. There's a bonus track edition that has covers of Queen and Scorpions and Iron Maiden as well. So it's got the number 12 on the Billboard chart. This is the first cover art by Cantor, who I mentioned previously. And production now is by Andy Sneap, not just engineering and mixing, but actually producing it. Lyrics are combination of Billy, Zetro is back, and also Del James again. And music is all Eric or Eric and Alex. So, and one thing I want to say is you talked about, the order of things, and what I kind of do to help myself is after I listen to them or as many times as I'm going to, I give them all a rating so that I can then go through and kind of at least match up the numbers and then help. There were so many that were right in the same kind of rating that really is it's tough. But on this, I like the opening track "Rise Up." I think that's a great way to start. Second track "Native Blood" even better. So we're building. The title track is catchy. Again, is it metal? Is it thrash? There's that fine line. True American Hate is full on thrash. The fourth track. I like Cold Embrace, or I should say, I don't like Cold Embrace. That is the 7 minute and 45 second ballad, and this is where I think it doesn't work. It's weak to me. Uh, Throne of Thorns, though, nice riffing on that, cool breakdown, interesting vocal structure. So that was six. Number five is Formation, the Formation of Damnation. So that is 2010, or their 10th album from 2008, I should say, Nuclear Blast. 11 tracks, 49 minutes. Another cover by Cantor. Billboard charts 59 on this. So this is the first album for them since the First Strike re-recording from '01. And it's the first album of new material then since '99's The Gathering. Produced by Eric and Chuck. Alex is now back, first since The Ritual. Only studio album with Paul Bostaph on drums, right? From Forbidden and Slayer and Exodus. And uh, so this was first mentioned in 2002 that they were going to do an album. Thought it would be out in 2004, but because of everything that was going on and touring and so on and forth, it's 2008 till it comes out. So this is mostly Eric and Chuck doing the music, and the lyrics again co-written by Billy and Zetro. So Zetro, even though he's not necessarily in the band, is had his hands in things in a good way uh, along the on the way, and he also does background vocals on some songs. So we start with an instrumental, and I should say this band is known for either short or full-on song instrumentals throughout their career, and I think they do it as good, if not better, of anybody, of just kind of mixing it in and making sure that it's part of the flow and doesn't really break things up, right? So first couple of tracks, nice way to open. That's More Than Meets the Eye. Evil Has Landed, good. Title track is heavy. Some death vocals coming in there. Dangers of the Faithless. That mixes up the vocal. That's what I like when Chuck kind of bounces around and plays with his voice. And then track 10, Fear. Very cool track. Great pre-chorus, great chorus, stellar guitar work. I could say that on every album that Alex is on, but he really is an amazing guitarist. Great riffs, great solos. Eric as well, right? They make a good tandem. Um, but to me, this is Alex is back, and it's good. I like the ending track. So good album. And my number four, I like this more than you. Uh, Titans of Creation. That was on some cool splatter colored
Yeah.
vinyl. Um, and I know this is a newer one, right? 2013 or 13th album. I keep mixing this up. 13th album from 2020 on Nuclear Blast. It is their longest. It's 12 tracks in 58 minutes. Another great Cantor cover. Billboard gets the 96. Another Eric and Chuck production. Music is mostly Eric, although Alex on two tracks, and the lyrics are mostly Chuck and Del James. This is interesting in that it's the first album since Ritual that the same lineup recorded back-to-back albums, right? So there's some cohesion there, and I think maybe that's why I like it. Although cohesion is also the last yet again with Hoagland as drummer. He leaves for the second time. But opening track, Children of the Next Level, great opener. This, again, mix of heavy metal and thrash. You mentioned Night of the Witch, great song, evil vocal, even kind of black metal-ish for them. I like City of Angels. I like the guitar work for sure. Catacombs, another instrumental, kind of closing out with a choir. It's an interesting mix in it, and I think it seems shorter than it really is. I don't get bogged down by the length on this one. Uh, I like it, and that's my next three.
It's a good album for sure. It's just, yeah, it's a little different
Yes.
than they are pretty consistent in the last 15, 16 years, but this one kind of sticks out a little bit. Okay, so my number six is their last album from 2025, Parabellum. Um, I had this one a little bit higher actually, but then yeah, like I said, this switched around a couple of times. I think for a band that deep in their career, this is great. It sounds very fresh. They sound energized and way younger than they are because I think Testament are a band that has gotten, and it's not only production, but they have gotten a lot heavier than they started off with all these double bass drums that they have. You mentioned the dark growls. The open on that one is a straight black metal song because Eric Peterson, he has the side project Dragon Lord, and you would probably call it something like symphonic or melodic
Mm.
black metal. Um, and they pull it off. It doesn't sound like they are biting or trying something that they can't do, but this is a great song. I love it. And there are a couple of great tracks throughout this one. Infanticide AI is a pretty fast and furious thrasher. I love the ballad on that one. Meant to Be is beautiful. It's also pretty long. I think it approaches 8 minutes, but yeah, it's a bit cheesy, but then it kind of hits you. The melodies are beautiful in the song, really cool. Um, yeah, Witch Hunt, great. I, I mean, if you back in the 90s, if someone would have told you that in 2025 Testament would release an album like this, you would have rolled your eyes. You wouldn't have believed it. So it's pretty cool to have them back on this level. So that's my number six. On number five, I have the Formation of Damnation, which was the comeback, and I guess one of the albums in the early 2000s, which kind of um, yeah made the contributed to the thrash metal resurgence because no one expected it, and yeah, this I mean they have pretty much kept this quality level from this album to this day. I think. Um, this is pretty furious. You mentioned a couple of the greatest songs, More Than Meets the Eye. They still play that one live. The Evil Has Landed, The Formation of Damnation. Yeah, all the tracks you mentioned are great. Killing Season is also pretty cool. I love Fear. You mentioned it. Henchman Ride. Um, Not a bad song on this one, in my opinion. So on number four, I have Practice What You Preach from '89. And this is an album that I go from not liking it that much to loving it. It's a bit different, and I thought about it when listening to it that actually with this album, Testament did something that uh, most people would say Metallica started with their Black album. They branched out with this one and started to do more than just thrash metal. There's a ballad on here called The Ballad. Um, the title track, Practice What You Preach, is a rather mid-tempo, and I think you can hear on it that Alex Skolnick was developing this interest in jazz because it's yeah it's not a classic thrash metal song, and it sounds different. The groove is different, the melodies and the chords are different. Um, there's a couple of straight thrashers on here, Blessed in Contempt, for example. But the high points are probably Perilous Nation to me, and yeah, Sins of Omission is a great song. Ends with one of their weird instrumentals, Confusion Fusion. So that's another jazzy track. Yeah, so Practice What You Preach is my number four.
Okay. Uh, number three for me is, make sure I have the right album there. Parabellum. I think this is Orange Fun. Orange Fun.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, and you said some great things about this. So this is 2025, right? Recent album, their 14th album, Nuclear Blast, 10 songs, 50 minutes. Another great Cantor cover. I keep saying that, but it's amazing artist. Gets to Billboard number 9, so their highest charting, but again in a different era. Eric and Chuck producing. Music is all Eric except for one that Alex co-writes, and lyrics are mostly Billy and Del James co-writing. So as you mentioned, that first track, it's thrash, it's death, it's black. I mean, there are parts where I think I'm listening to Cradle of Filth, right? I love that song. I think in 5 minutes and 35 seconds, you get a tour of so many different styles. Shadow People, to me, classic Testament sounds with the late 80s. Mentioned the ballad Meant to Be with a string arrangement like that. Witch Hunt, great song. Nature of the Beast, more of a heavy metal track. Love it. Room 117 kind of takes me back to the Souls of Black era. Title track, it ends on a heavy note, Chuck growling, and then his normal voice. So uh, as good as to me Titans is late in their career, this is next level. Uh, this is how you do things correctly if you take all your influences and life experiences and so forth. I'll liken this to the most recent Megadeth, which I think is, as we go out and look at that for Rock Kaput because we ranked the Megadeth catalog and reviewed the album, making a statement late in the career. I think these guys are making a statement that they're a force to be reckoned with. I anxiously await what Anthrax does next, but I would say I'd put this as the last album at the moment from this thrash band against any last album of any other thrash band, whether it's Flotsam and Jetsam or Death Angel or Slayer, anybody. This is making a statement of we're still in it to win it, right? Um, Number two, I'm going to go with Practice What You Preach. I love this from when it came out in '89, so their third album on Mega Force, 10 tracks, 46 minutes. This is again just a little over a year from their last one, but I think they didn't rush this. They took their time. Great William Benson cover, by the way. Uh, so production by Alex Perialis again, his last. This is gets to 77 on Billboard chart, near gold at that point, which was big for this band. And now we are getting, as you mentioned, some of that jazz fusion from Alex's playing. Um, and he gets just evolved over the years into such a great guitar player. Title track is still played live. The rest not so much over the years until recently, and I think it's a shame because I really do like this record. The title track is one of the best openers to me. Peerless Nation, great song. Greenhouse Effect, uh, this environmental song, which was the Environmental Holocaust was the name of the tour. That's my original tour short that I got when I saw them. Loved that. The ballad, as you mentioned, great. So uh, I love it. But for all historical importance, I go with The Legacy as my number one. So their debut from 1987 on Mega Force. It's tight. 9 tracks, 38 minutes, right? They get in, they get out. Cool Dan Murrow cover photography and effects on this. So this follows the big three, and I'll say that is Slayer and Metallica and Megadeth from '86. Right, this is now before though Among the Living comes out in '87. So Thrash is in a big way, and Testament comes out with this, and it fit right in that period. There are some Sousa co-written lyrics on this. Most of the music is Alex on this at 18. Alex and Eric, but Alex is 18 when we record this. Does not sound like an 18-year-old guitarist. Production by Alex Perialis, great, love it. Uh, they sort of they skipped the bad production years. So by the time they start in '87, we now have good production in thrash if you have the right producer. And lyrically, again, this is where they kind of go across the border from occult to nuclear war, and we'll see that progression as we go along, as I mentioned earlier. Opens with Over the Wall, great track right out of the gate, awesome guitar riffs and solo. This is Alex kind of setting the path of what will come. The Haunting, moody song, very cool. Raging Waters, well constructed song. I think this is one thing that we don't praise them enough for is they know how to craft a good song, right? No matter what style they're doing. Curse of the Legions of Death, Fast and Furious thrash song, Alone in the Dark, another evil sounding track with great vocals, almost Venom-like to me. So is this technically the best Testament album? I would say no. But the historical importance, the strength of the songs of the time period, where it falls into place in thrash history, that's why I'm putting it at number one.
Nice. We will see. Okay, so my number three is The New Order. And I mostly agree with you. Um, I think coming after the debut, this is a bit playing it safe. Uh, and so I was thinking putting it down a notch, but then I think the songs that we have on this one are so strong. Um, and I love the debut, so I can easily yeah have fun with a part two, Um, the opener, Eerie Inhabitants, The New Order, Trial by Fire, Into the Pit, Disciples of the Watch, they are all great. I agree. In the end, it kind of loses a bit of its track. What I think is funny, you mentioned the cover version of Aerosmith, Nobody's Fault. That's not on this version. I don't know. It's probably German pressing or European pressing, whatever. And this one goes from Disciples of the Watch, The Preacher, A Day of Reckoning, and then A Musical Death. So it's even shorter. But I think it flows. I have a CD with the Aerosmith cover version on it. But I think it flows way better that way. And you know, I don't like these cover versions on the thrash metal albums, and it kind of ruins the mood because it doesn't fit on this one at all. So without it, I think it's better. Maybe you can try it and just kick it off via Spotify. So yeah, for nostalgia's sake, and like I said, I still think the other songs are so great. So this is my number three. On number two, I have Dark Roots of the Earth, and not only do I think that this is Eliran Kantor's most beautiful artwork, love the colors of on that one, and the image, but I think it's the strongest effort past their comeback. I love almost every track on here. You mentioned a couple: Rise Up, Native Blood, Dark Roots of the Earth. True American Hate is one of their best all out thrash songs. I love this one. Makes me go furious every time I listen to it. I love these fast, rowdy songs that make you want to, raise your fist and throw furniture around. Um, A Day in the Death is great. Man Kills Mankind. I just love it. I think it's a great album. It's hard to, like I said a couple of times, it's hard to rank these because these are really small details that make you like one more than the other, and it can easily change from one day to the next. So, um, what you said, and I want to stress that I think they have two great guitarists. Um, Alex Skolnick is certainly the one who's more in the spotlight. Gets all the tasty solos and stuff, but Eric Peterson and Chuck Billy, those were the two that carried the band from start to finish, at least during their recorded history. And I think that Eric Peterson is very underappreciated and underrated as a songwriter and a guitarist. Um,
And that's
but
why I wanted to mention who did what because you think Alex would be the primary songwriter of music, and it's been Eric over the
yeah,
entire span of the band.
yeah, right, right. And he's brought new influences in, right? These black
Hmm.
metal influences that keep things fresh. But yeah, in the end, I have to agree that this is their best album. Just listen to it today again. I mean, I think, yeah, that was the number one for me from the start. I guess number one and number 13 were clear for me, and in between it was kind of hard. And I think that the sound could be better. It's a bit noisy and trebly, but this is so much fun, and every song just kicks ass. It's amazing. The sequencing on this album is just great. How it goes from Raging Waters into Curse of the Legions of Death with almost no break is I never noticed it until today. It's just great. I love Curse of the Legions of Death, so amazing. Then Do or Die almost brought me to tears today. That very melodic and beautiful guitar harmonies that they are playing in that song is, and then they ended with Apocalyptic City. This is a 10 out of 10 thrash metal history, and yeah, it's up there with the greats, I think, of the genre.
Yeah, they're definitely a band that uh, stay very consistent. They had their little bit of a bump as we talked about, but as a body of work, pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, and even on yeah, my least favorite album and yours too, Demonic. I don't like that record at all, but I don't think it's embarrassing.
No,
It's not fun to listen to. It's a child of its time, but yeah, it's not an embarrassment. And they managed to go through these hard times with, like I said, with their dignity intact. So and it's great to have them back. And I mean, with how many bands which are have been productive over that long period of time, when you would rank them today, you would have all their old stuff in the top and the
mm,
newer stuff in the bottom, and that's not the case with them because, yeah, the new stuff they did isn't worse than their old classics.
the one band I would say kind of run parallel with them is Flotsam and Jetsam, and they've stayed strong. And maybe that's a future show, but I think they have a kind of a similar path and a similar quality of work.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with their newer albums, and I dropped out in the 90s. But yeah, that's certainly a great band, and yeah, something for the future. Um, yeah, okay, that was our Testament ranking. I hope you all enjoyed it. And like I said in the beginning, give us your thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. We certainly need it. And give us your comments. Tell us about your experience with Testament, your favorite albums, what you think um, about their development and history, and where you've seen them live, and what's your favorite album, all that stuff. We want to hear it. And yeah, return for the next time. Alex will certainly be with us again for more thrash, and I hope you will tune in. Until then, see you. Bye bye.
See ya.